So I finally decided to play Star Wars Outlaws. Since, I thought to myself this could be a fun game to try. And looking at it from the surface, it looked like a pretty fun game. But like a lot of games nowadays, there was a pretty common occurrence. And that was the game's reviews. If you look at this game's reviews, as you can see on the screen right here, they are not great. And even looking at other places that reviewed this, or not other places, but other publishers that reviewed this game, such as IGN. I think IGN gave this game a 7 out of 10. I was really curious to see, like, is this game, like, as bad as people claim? Because, it's like people will either say that they love this game and that it's a great piece of media for Star Wars, or that they absolutely hate this game. And, coming from me, I've played the Force Unleashed games, I've played the Jedi Survivor games, and that's really about it. I'm not really big on Star Wars, but I definitely enjoy Star Wars as a media, and I've watched all the movies, so it was kind of going in with like a not really sure what to expect, but I was looking forward to it though. And playing this game, I've noticed, like, from what I've been playing, I was reading all the different reviews and seeing like what people didn't like about this game, and it seems like a lot of people are afraid to play this game because of the game's poor performance. And that's definitely a big concern, when you're playing any game, really, is if the game can run well and the game can perform well. And obviously this game has been updated, this game has been fixed, and they're trying their best, to make the game a fun experience. Because I played this game today on a PC, so all the gameplay you see is captured on PC, um, at the highest graphic settings, basically. So the ultra settings and whatnot. And looking at all these reviews, a lot of them are kind of stupid, and then a lot of them do make sense. Like, the game was just has poor performance, stuttering issues, stuff like that, low frame rate, and I could totally get that. But I was playing this game, I was pleasantly surprised of how fun this game was, and playing it, and just sort of absorbing all of this lore, the Star Wars lore. I thought it was really cool and really unique, and it's a lot different from, I think, what we've gotten in terms of Star Wars games. Normally in a Star Wars game, you're playing as the Jedi, or with Jedi Survivor, and in Force Unleashed, you're obviously the bad guy, depending on obviously what side you took, but it's just stuff like that. So now, sort of in the hands of a bounty hunter, it was weird to see this new perspective of not really, being able to run around and slice everybody with a lightsaber. Now you have a blaster, and you're like, well, I don't know. But, playing this game, it was a lot of fun. I was honestly surprised of just how good it was. And I think people are afraid to play this game seemingly because of they're afraid of the bad performance, and I can totally get that. I can totally understand that, because when I buy a game too, I want the game to run well. I want my money to be well spent. But I do think there's a couple things that can definitely knock this game down. I paid $70 for this game, and just from playing, the gameplay is fine and all, and graphically though, I loved the game, and I really enjoyed what it had to offer in terms of graphics and how it looked, like, cinematically speaking. But gameplay, it's nothing really insane. It was just, you're simple. You have your blaster, you shoot an enemy, move on to the next room, shoot some enemies and whatnot. But I did love that, the small minor details and mechanics that they had. Um, being able to use, as like a little cool game mechanic to steal from different NPCs in the open world. And a lot of the game mechanics, obviously knowing that this is a Ubisoft game, reminded me a lot of Assassin's Creed in a way. And with parkour elements and exploration and being able to find things around the map. Now, and oddly enough, after playing this game, because I've played Assassin's Creed Shadows too, I enjoyed this game a lot more than Assassin's Creed Shadows, believe it or not. Assassin's Creed Shadows was another game that I talked about a few months ago, and that I honestly enjoyed that game too. But, I said it was severely flawed, and going back to this game, I think this game too, um, I wouldn't say it's severely flawed, I would just say it's a game that sort of had a bad draw at launch, and now the game is sort of back to, or is fun to play. It's fixed and it's updated. much like Cyberpunk in a way. You know, it just kind of took a while for this game to sort of get up there. And playing this game, you know, I think people are gonna their main issue is probably going to be the gameplay. But you know, for myself included, you know, for me, I love open world games and I love great open world design. And just off the bat, like, I could immediately tell like the attention to detail to everything in this game, and I can tell I'm definitely gonna enjoy that aspect of just exploring the galaxy and seeing what it has to offer in Star Wars Outlaws. And that's what I look forward to. And honestly, like, you know, if you've been hesitant on wanting to play this game or buy it, like, I would recommend it. But I would say $70 might be a steep price tag for this game. I would say if you could get it on sale, then that might be your best bet. But, you know, like, back to, like, you know, the bad reviews, like, you know, a lot of it too is, you know, people like to say that this game is, you know, woke and whatnot. And you know, for me personally, I've never really understood all that stuff. It's just, if you enjoy something and, you know, just don't really, none of that stuff really matters, in all honesty. I don't think it defines a game. Like, if you enjoy it, then you enjoy it. You know, don't let something like that sort of destroy, you know, your thoughts on something you may like. But, you know, like what I said with Star Wars Outlaws, I didn't really know what to expect going into this game, since, you know, seeing everything about it, it was really nothing but bad. But, you know, I was like, hey, you know, let's try it. A lot of my subscribers were saying, hey, you got to try this game. It's actually pretty fun. And I think this game came out back in August of last year, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, here we are now, basically almost an entire year later since the game has launched. And here I am playing it. But, yeah, I mean, that's really about it. I don't know. I don't know if you guys, you know, what do you guys think of Star Wars Outlaws? You know, from what I've played briefly, I'm definitely going to keep on continuing to play this game, and I look forward to see, you know, what the story brings and what it has to offer. It's definitely an enjoyable game from what I've played. Maybe something happens and, you know, it's completely thrown out the window, in my opinion. But, you know, that's the fun part. We're going to find that out and see, you know, exactly what it has to offer. So by all means, I'm not here to say like this is an incredible game. It's just a fun, enjoyable game. You know, it's fine. It's not amazing by all means. It's not bad by all means. It's just a good game, and that's kind of how I see it. And yeah, you know, it's weird just to see sometimes like how games sort of seem to get misinterpreted in what they have to offer. Like, for example, you know, reading like, you know, the reviews online, you know, this one's funny. If you are one of the few people that like all the Disney Star Wars woke agenda pushing woke rubbish, you will love this game. It is lacking and we need better games. So, you know, stuff like that, you know, so tends to be like a pretty familiar just review base with a lot of these games, that people like to complain that the game is, you know, quote unquote woke, whatever that even means. It's just, to me, it's like, games, you know, game's fine. It's not amazing by all means, but it's not bad. And if it's something you want to play, then I totally recommend it. You know, a lot of these games nowadays, I feel like, just kind of get misinterpreted because people like to claim that everything is woke, even though when you ask them, what does that mean? They can't tell you. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoy this video. I probably will upload more Star Wars Outlaws, especially if this video does well, and maybe give like a final thoughts and opinions on the game once I finish it, once I complete it. But, you know, I was thoroughly surprised with really not much expectations and not much love for the Star Wars universe as a whole. Just someone who was looking for a fun game to play to pass the time, and I think Star Wars Outlaws is one of those perfect examples of that. Anyways, though, this is Pineapple Sway. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please consider liking, subscribing, and peace out.